Hello, I'm Graham Dale. I'd like to talk to you about the Factortame case, which, although it goes back over 30 years, the outcome of it was of such profound significance for the UK Constitution and for the sovereignty of Parliament that I think it's worth revisiting in the current context of the moves to take Britain back into the European Union. The case is complicated, and I can't go into too much detail here, but the story begins in 1985 when Spain joined the then European Community. And one of the initial benefits Spain derived from it was to receive substantial structural funds, which they used to comprehensively modernize and expand their fishing fleet. Under the Common Fisheries Policy, Spain was awarded generous fishing quotas to fish in UK waters. But after a while, they decided that these quotas were insufficient and they wanted more. And the way in which they chose to acquire more was by acquiring UK fishing quotas. And they did this by setting up front companies, rather like Factortame Limited, which was probably an on-the-shelf pre-formed company that was bought for a couple of £100, to use these shell companies to acquire UK fishing quotas. Now, this was actually big business because Factortame was only one of over 90 such companies involved in this type of operation. So basically, they would acquire or set up a shell company in the UK, which would acquire the rights to UK fishing quotas. And this began to have a serious adverse effect on the UK fishing industry. The actual fishing boats were withering on the vine, and the onshore fishing processing facilities were also severely affected because the Spanish didn't land their catch in Britain. They shipped it all the way back to Spain. Now, the UK government decided to try to ameliorate this situation and introduce the Merchant Shipping Act of 1988, through which they sought to control the ownership and management of these shell companies. The law provided that in terms of ownership, the beneficial ownership should be 75% owned and controlled by UK domiciled citizens. And in terms of management control, again, the board of directors or board of management should be 75% controlled by UK domiciled citizens. The Spanish, of course, didn't like this, and they decided to challenge it as being illegal under EC law in terms of it was discriminatory in terms of their nationality, control, and domicile. And they brought a case against the British government seeking an injunction in the High Court. And the High Court granted the injunction. The British government basically appealed that decision to the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal upheld the government's objection, but gave Factortame the right to appeal to the highest appeal court in the land at the time, which was the House of Lords. The House of Lords was then faced with the decision of whether UK law passed through the sovereign UK Parliament was superior to or inferior to EC law, which was incorporated into UK law through the European Communities Act 1972. They passed a decision in this respect over to the European Court of Justice. And the European Court of Justice came out with the decision that where UK law was incompatible with EC law, inconsistent with EC law, then EC law would prevail. That EC law would be supreme. Now, this, you will see, has profound implications for the UK Constitution and for the sovereignty of the UK Parliament. But nevertheless, the House of Lords agreed with this assessment and the relevant provisions of the Merchant Shipping Act were set aside. Now, this clearly has immense implications for the ability of the UK to pass sovereign laws which affect the way in which the British people are governed. And I can't for the life of me understand why the Rejoiners, who want to take us back to the European Union, don't see how unsupportable it is, for want of a better word, that we should delegate our sovereignty or surrender our sovereignty to an undemocratic, anti-democratic foreign entity over which we have precious little influence or control. However, we are in a difficult situation at the moment where we have a Remainer government and a Remainer parliament who have a majority, which effectively means that they are an elective dictatorship. And the moves definitely appear to be taking Britain closer and closer to the European Union. And I fear that before too long, more and more sovereignty will be ceded to the European Union.